We're back with the Alpha Stream here with Arizona State University and Westcliff Warriors going head-to-head, still in the Western Division, still in the Tier 1 side of things. And my name is Seymour, alongside me, Proper. We're here to run through this last best of 5 on stream. Proper, how you feeling about the match?
This matchup's going to be an interesting one, to say the least, Colin. I mean, for a lot of different instances of what we were talking about framing up between the Hilltoppers versus the Braves, matching things up, now there's a lot riding off of Westcliff to be able to beat Arizona State. There's a lot of head-to-head nuances when it comes down to permutations, where a lot of these top 5 teams are going to be placing out throughout the entirety of the West. Arizona State, even with the loss here today, should still be guaranteed that second seed going in towards playoffs, just behind Ottawa off of their head-to-heads, not only versus St. Edwards, but also versus ICC. But it just comes down to Westcliff to be able to show what they've got in this Western region ahead of playoffs with a major upset versus ASU.
And both these teams, ASU, you talked about them jumping up. They're sitting number 5 right now in the Tier 1 West Division. And right underneath them, Westcliff number 6. So still side by side, but there's a disconnect. Westcliff sitting 4-3 inside stage 2. We can take a look at the head-to-head, and we can take a look at the stats of both of these teams, because that disconnect, it's a lot more significant than what it shows inside the placings for this division, because Westcliff Warriors, a loss here would put them, still residing on those kind of head-to-heads with the teams below them, but in the danger zone of dropping proper.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, between Westcliff, when you're taking a look at a lot of their Tier 2 matchups, their losses, if you will, they lost to Ottawa 1-3. They ended up losing to St. Edwards 1-3 as well. That's what you're mostly going to be looking at, which is why I said that their win here means a whole lot comparatively for St. Edwards. Losing out against Ottawa, they would end up being doubled on up as far as placings are concerned, would definitely be sitting a whole lot prettier over on the 5th seed rather than the 6th or 7th seed if they end up losing this matchup here. But for the Sun Devils coming out of Arizona State, I think that you're going to be feeling pretty darn comfortable heading in towards this matchup. Could be staring down the barrel of a potential 3-0, given how the entirety of your Tier 2 has gone. Their only loss again so far, as they are walking into this matchup 18-1 throughout the entirety of the 2022 season, 9-1 throughout the second tier. Their only loss was against Ottawa, where they lost in an 0-3 fashion. So I think that things are going to be looking pretty darn good for the Sun Devils. All things considered, this is, again, just a lot riding on the shoulders for Westcliff to be able to play upset towards any final standings.
Riding on the shoulder. Let's introduce them proper. We got the Westcliff Warriors out of Westcliff University, and representing them, Locke, Stoners, Beeston, Lucasi, a team with a lot of synergy, coming together in this year to make waves inside the CCL. And, they've made some waves, but now in front of them, the Sun Devils, a really big opponent.
Yeah, I mean, Locke, Stoners, Beeson, Lucasi, there's a lot of different bright spots when you're looking at this entirety of the team, but when you're really thinking about it, versus the Sun Devils out of Arizona State, the Westcliff University really needs to almost really rely on their AR lineup to be able to shut down any sort of silliness that could be going on, that the SMG lineup coming out from ASU are going to be bringing to the table.
Definitely ringing for the table indeed. And across that table from them proper, sitting in the away side, Arizona State University, the Sun Devils. And on board with the Sun Devils, you're looking at Sprack, Effectini, Contra, and Fishity, the Volk mastermind himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, too. We were actually sitting here talking about it in the production room before we went live with our second match with our producer, Sport, is that Spart actually did shout out Fishity. Again, is the, I want to say the, he's the original. He is the OG of the Volk. We saw it play out, first and foremost, in the CCL and then throughout, I forget which cup number it was. There's been just so damn many of them. But, I mean, Fishity loves their Volk. He loves that Flex AR when you are thinking about it. And that does go hand in hand along with Effectini, who is their SMG player coming out from the Sun Devils of Arizona State. This individual of Effectini finds a lot of value, and I mean a lot of value, in just instigating a lot of isolated engagements and finding a lot of value in them at that, causing a ruckus up front. Really has created a lot of openings for Arizona State to collect off of a lot of map wins.
It's crazy to think about the domino effect. I mean, Fishity, Cold War, he repped the FFAR all year long. He just likes to run those off-meta weapons. And inside Vanguard, that off-meta run completely changed the implications of Major 2. And it's crazy to see the domino effect. What that came through Fishity pulling out that Volk, but now we get to see it inside of the last week of CCL. Hopping on board with the maps, what we got proper: Berlin, Desert Siege, Gavitu, Tuscan, and Bocage. All 5 maps different from each other, something we don't usually see in Vanguard.
Yeah, it almost feels like we're doing a around-the-world stint in this final matchup for both Westcliff and ASU as far as regular season is concerned. So you do get a certain amount of diversity. Sure, you get some sniper play coming through from Desert Seas at Car 98K over by the Sand Dune B lane. Can be quite influential. Same could be said over across the train tracks over by the A lane. Berlin Hardpoint on the other side, you can find a lot of value not only just with your ARs, just locking things down as far as rotations are concerned, but also just being able to get up in the grill of the enemy team with a lot of SMG silliness, and even ARs can also find a lot of value when it comes down to breaking inside of 3, 2, and 4, all in respect of one another. It'll be quite telling to see who ends up finding the upper hand throughout the start of Berlin Hardpoint, because going in towards the second set, having any sort of advantage, knowing what P1 can turn into of Money Hill for either of these two teams will be quite telling to see who can get a leg up early in the series.
I'm excited. You know, we get all 5 maps different. I like Desert Siege map number 2. Big fan. It's growing on me. But before we get to that, I mean, this Berlin, definitely going to be telling proper as we're hopping on board. We look at what the minimap, Westcliff Warriors on the less preferred side, the less preferred side for this first one, but I got a little bit of a stumble there because we got some team kills coming through from ASU side, so that looks like we're going to put a halt in map number 1, go back to the lobby, see if we can load things on up, and maybe a few tech issues for the start for ASU, but we're going to get these players right back up and running. In the meantime, I mean, the series, it's not only Berlin. We look at the rest of the best of 5. I mean, especially moving into Desert Siege for map number 2. We don't usually see teams play Desert Siege as a map number 2. Usually I see it come out as a map number 5. Are you surprised to see it coming out inside the series?
No, I think this late in the season, it's either you are comfortable on Desert Siege or you are hard vetoing that bad boy, trying to make sure that no other team can bring you to there. But obviously it ends up coming through. It does end up getting picked out. And I honestly am not as surprised to not see it as a map number 5, but to see it so early in the best of 5 series, I think we should probably get relatively comfortable with that, even at all different levels here, the collegiate, challengers, and even up to the CDL level. We're probably seeing a lot more Desert Siege because teams are really starting to figure out the timings and a lot of the different angles that map does end up bringing to the table. Again, the snipers can absolutely come out to play, and if you are starting to beam coming off of that map 1 as an AR player, you're going to feel right at home on Desert Siege with the longer range engagements for those first bloods. The SMGs also have to be ringing true to battle inside of University, to be able to influence first blood, to be able to influence a post-plant situation, and to be able to get those plants down on A, B respectfully. I'm definitely happy to see Desert Siege more and more as the season continues on.
As am I. Like I said, it's growing on me throughout it. I mean, I played it enough in ranked play for Call of Duty back before they kind of switched things up, but it's growing on me for sure to see it inside of this. But aside from maps, you're looking at Westcliff Warriors sitting at number 12 inside the power rankings, Arizona State at a comfortable 5. You know, talk to me a little bit about Westcliff. What would you like to see out of them if they want to upset Arizona here?
This has to be their best performance that they have had all season long. And I was talking about that when Westcliff were going up against Ottawa. They ended up taking down that one map away from them. Same could be said against St. Edwards. Something wasn't clicking then, but it needs to start clicking together now. Losing to St. Edwards does speak further volumes, I would say, than comparatively to being able to take maps off of Ottawa. With all that said, I want to be able to see this team really start clicking into their own. I mean, when you're thinking about it, throughout Tier 1, or through the first split, if you will, you were playing some bottom barrel teams. Not to say that those teams are terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but now teamwork has to be able to pay dividends for this team, especially when you are the captain of Locke leading the charge into P1.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Take 2, everyone. Let's hop back into Berlin as you're looking at Stoners to open up with the kills. Although Arizona State comfortably in the hill for now. A quick break from Westcliff will, disrupted. A little bit uncomfortable for the retake. As you see, still spotting up in the top left of the mini-map. You can see an overextension from player number 6, Fishty, looking to wrap around the map, take a little bit of control as the rest of Arizona setting up for this break. Coming in from the back, you got number 7. Takes out the player inside the hill, and Contra even does one better. Takes down Lugasi on the front line. So open time for right now, 16 seconds left. But all eyes are on the rotation. Arizona State working forward.
And that was a big gunfight to be able to come out of the gates and win if you are Westcliff. Again, with ASU starting off on the favorite side, you would almost kind of chalk it on up that ASU should have been able to win that gunfight and walk away with a majority of the time. But now they chalk it there towards the end, looking for B lane pressure, but they ended up flipping things out. So Westcliff were able to walk away with the B lane control. Now they're trying to threaten to break inside of B early, but the SMGs for ASU, they stand tall, finding those last few kills and securing the initial time.
Staying tall for now, but you have a flank still from Locke. Does get in, doesn't check the corner, so Sprack a free kill, slides on in, 3 go down. Big plays at ASU, make it all 4, make it a snap from Lucasi to shut down Sprack there, but still, big moment from ASU to pull this one back, almost even inside the score, and a big double out of Effectini to close that gap even farther. But the job's not done just yet. Westcliff still pressuring out this hill. It's a big 2 out of Beaston and 3 go down, and that's going to be Westcliff for the break in the last couple seconds.
Yeah, but they overextend, and ASU do end up at least setting up players past the middle of the map, so the spawns effectively have been flipped out, and Westcliff, they're more than aware of this, so they break in for the scrap time. These last few players are going to try to barrel their way in through fire. Not a whole lot of pressure coming through from the B lane. Beeson is out here, but now they're the last player alive for the Warriors. Sprack will end up taking care of them. Some help is right around the corner for Lucasi, again, trying to flip out these spawns. You will not do that successfully unless you deal with Contra in the back. They're unsuccessful in doing so, Colin, so back towards the respawn screen to break once again from the front.
Look how far Westcliff are spawning away, so a lot of time here comfortably gained from ASU. They've completely closed the gap of this lead, and even still funneling on in one by one. Westcliff, they drop. Stoners looking to make a play around the outside, slides on in for the contention. Big 1-2 play with Beeson. The flood coming through, 3 go down. It's a 1v1 at the end right here. Effectini slides through. Lock's gonna drop. And that's another big win at ASU. This lead now, it's gaining for the Sun Devils, and 15 seconds of scrap going their way.
That's now 2 different sprees that Effectini's been able to find themselves on in the heart of a hard point as well. When you're thinking about it, that's when your SMGs really want to be able to step on up. 8 and 5 now for the kid on a 4 spree, and already threading the rotation. Fishity, Sprack, all combining for a handful of kills. Fishity still using this very unorthodox site as a lot of teammates are still following suit. They almost question why they are using it, but hey, if you can find the kills and you can win these gunfights, you might as well just use what ends up working. The gunfights don't come their way quick enough, so you still have the Warriors spawning out of the backside of the warehouse, but Arizona State, very hot off the presses, looking to threaten from the front early.
I thought Effectini saw him. Look, laying down. I mean, if he doesn't move, I guess you can't see him. Staying prone like a rock.
True.
Still, Westcliff gaining time inside this hill. Break from Arizona. Looking to be on board. 3 go down. All 4 go down with a play out of Fishity around the outside. And that's going to flood or spawn Westcliff on the opposite side of this train station. Now having to work through train just to get a touch onto this hill. And you see 2 players look to make that happen. Effectini cuts them down. And the gunfight's on the opposite end of the map. It does go the way of ASU still. So rotation here from 4 to 5 should be strong from the Sun Devils. You still got Westcliff players around the back.
Players just lingering out by these train cars. And Effectini's going to be there to find themselves get another spree on a 5. 2 more kills away from getting themselves a glide bomb. Has 6 right in front of them. Stoners hip fire from the automaton will just be a little bit better than the fire coming out from Effectini, but it doesn't mean the break will be there. Westcliff have split spawns right now. They're looking for at least north and south control, but you need to get activated if you are locked. 3 and 11, not exactly the sexiest KD ratio to speak of, but Sprack will be right there to clean things up inside of the concourse. We'll find kill number 5 in a row, and although the hit from the front of Westcliff to be able to break inside 5 will be good, ASU have been able to get some serious time off of P5. Again, a hill that is typically chalked up to going more open towards the game clock than anything.
3 and 13 now, not sexy indeed. It's just not the recipe of success for a hot streak Arizona State right now. Inside this hill 5, they've collected a majority time now, 119 to 84. Rotation to P1 is going to be everything. You can make this a money hill proper if you set up early. Westcliff Warriors, they will be here. They take down Sprack, but you have to look at player number 6. Fishty's looking to pull these spawns and get in behind.
Yeah, no, this was a great pickup by Beeson, who just spawned up in the upper courtyard position. They're essentially just tasked to watch the entirety of the flank, but you still have Fishty is trying to find some awkward timing. Beeson will clean things up, but the faith has to be there that the Warriors are going to be able to clean up players from the front, inside of the train station, inside of office, and they just simply cannot do it. ASU were able to break back in for the back 30. It just comes down to holding, and it looks like their setup is going to be clean enough as they have players lingering around the statue side. The Warriors will probably chalk up the rest of this, look for that B lane pressure to be able to get inside of mail, excuse me, while also trying to lock down those closer spawns inside of the boathouse.
Early spawns. Fishity again. We're gonna bring these back. In enemy territory. Gets bad timing. Lucasi's gonna find him for the rotation. Westcliff should be locked in, but Arizona State with the lead that they have proper. You talked earlier in our first best of 5 that we were casting. I mean, that winner's advantage goes a long way. And I mean, Westcliff, they're in for now, but Arizona State, they're setting up for the break.
Setting up for the break, and they're actually going to be setting this up on all different sides. I mean, if you are the Warriors, you're more or less trapped inside of Mail. You saw that Beeson tried to almost maybe play for some B-lane pressure, maybe get in the backside of Fire. It just doesn't come out to be, and it more or less just forces out the area that ASU were just waiting to pounce on, just waiting for the easier gunfights to come their way. They're able to find it, Colin, and they're able to break back in. Again, another 30 seconds of battle over, and you know the Warriors can't give all of this up.
Yeah. Back in the Warriors when the gunfights. Lock lines up too. Look at the spawns for Arizona State all the way deep in the back, so we'll be able to reinforce this from the train side. Beeson slides on in, dethrones Sprack, but only for so long. Last 13 seconds, looking to be picked up by the Sun Devils for the rotation to 4.
Warriors are in for the closer spawns, but the biggest problem starts and stops that you are down by a full 60. You have to make this a full 60 hardpoint. Lucasi doesn't see one player lingering to the left. Fishity will pounce off of this collection of information, and that should essentially block out the spawns. Yeah, it sure will. Lucasi spawns all the way down over by P1. So now these last 2 players for the Warriors need to continue to go big to keep the Sun Devils at bay.
They're going big indeed. Fishity spots Lucasi through the window. Beeson wants to take a gander. You look at that overextension around the outside. Stoners making the play. Opens it up for Lock to the front door, although the front door gets shut. And it's Arizona State again for the break, this time from the back, pulling those spawns. And the carnage, it is still going in favor of the Sun Devils. Looking now to break. Lucasi and Locke working together. They find 3. In for the contention. Last player standing is going to be Contra, and they spawn out the Sun Devils. They find the break, but again, it's only scrap time proper. You need to win the rotation.
Yeah, I mean, if you are ASU, you can constantly feel comfortable with breaking in for 20 seconds, contesting for the last little bit of scrap time, and at least keeping most of these hard points contested at that. That leader's advantage is really starting to be felt if you are the Warriors. You have to win this rotation if you are Westcliff University. If you end up losing this rotation, ASU will have these closer spawns, and they'll be able to reinforce this hill very, very quickly. They're dealing with the players in towards the back. Where do the Sun Devils spawn? They're all the way on the northeast side of the map, and the Westcliff Warriors are trying to manipulate the bottom side of the map, and they're finding success in just that big kill from Lucasi to take down Contra inside of the train center itself. So now you know where the rest of the Sun Devils are coming from.
Good break from Westcliff. Now it's time to hold on strong. The only thing is these respawns, they are coming in hot. It's a 2 for 3 in favor of the Warriors. You can hop into the zone, or they're going to try to hop into the zone soon. With 24 seconds, this would be good time to accumulate. You see the Arizona State Sun Devils, they make the full wraparound, overextend over to P5, now fighting from behind. Arizona State, I don't think they're noticing. Westcliff at least don't know it, but still the kills go their way. They're going to wipe another 3 off the board heading into P5.
The biggest problem rotating into P5 is you got to get top 3rd inside of Mail if you are the Warriors. You got the back end of the scrap time. The blind trust has to be there that you do end up having Stoners and another few players that got cut down inside of Mail previously. In Arizona State, they're reading this wonderfully, knowing that they couldn't break in for the scrap time, but you saw Fish be controlling the pace here in top Mail.
We are neck and neck, Andy, into the 3rd set. This is going to be crazy. P5, Westcliff. They have control of Mailroom now. Getting rid of Fishy. He's going to be their main mark. They send 2 through. They get him down. 2 for 1 trade. Now into the hill. Westcliff collecting time for now. Contra finessing his life. Can't find the kill on the Stoners, but the help comes through. Back and forth trades. Arizona split the odds. It's a 2 for 2 inside the main, but no time being collected from either side. Arizona State, a small little lead. And now if you're Westcliff, you need to get into P5 and do one better. You need to push P5 and you need to push for P1 flip.
Getting those back P3 spawns are the Sun Devils, and because they were always just dipping a toe inside of that hard point, Westcliff are kind of split as far as the decision is concerned. Do we try to hit through the scrap? Do we just flood on in through the office? And they end up pouncing at least on that player that was inside P5, and they're starting to flood inside of the office as well. Leaves a 1v1 for the hard point. Time itself locked to the pistol. Can't take down Effectini. ASU, they got the numbers here, and they can close it out.
Last chance for the Warriors. Spawn up P3 now, crossing. Look at this angle from Fishity. He's spotting them out. He's got the overwatch. He's cutting these players down from top 3rd, and he is making sure that the Warriors cannot touch into the zone. 3 seconds remaining. One last shot. Lock's gonna hop in for the contention. Spracky knows this. Goes for the chow, shuts it down, and shuts down the map. Arizona State University open up first.
Yeah, they will be able to at least win map number 1, probably a lot closer than they wanted at certain series of times, but finding a lot of value, especially early on, at being able to re-break and recontest a lot of these hard points. Westcliff were constantly in for initial time. but they couldn't deal with the overwhelming hits that the Sun Devils were bringing to the table. I mean, when you're looking back on the second set of hardpoints, specifically inside of 2, you're all trapped inside the mailroom. There is no point at any time that you should end up at least sending a player over towards P3. With 40 seconds remaining, you have to be locking down the back. You cannot allow for all the Sun Devils who, again, if you're not seeing them flood in through all the doorways, just find the easiest engagements I have ever seen this side of the Mississippi column. There is just no reasoning whatsoever why Westcliff have been overextending at the most inopportune times. It gave too many openings for the Sun Devils to be able to get themselves that 60-point lead in towards the second set and to be able to hold it over the Warriors' heads throughout the entirety of the second set at that. Even in the very final few moments there, they were finding a lot of isolated engagements and allowed the Sun Devils to be able to take those easier engagements. They were playing with their food, it truly felt like at certain points in time, but the Sun Devils, more than anything, were just winning a lot of the gunfights earlier and just were commanding the pace throughout the entirety of the map, throughout the entirety of that Berlin hardpoint.
The driver's seat commanding indeed. A little bit of miscommunication from Westcliff, and Arizona State lead the charge throughout this best of 5, taking the hardpoint 250 to 200. But now looking at the stats, and this is an interesting one because even after all this, even after a whole map victory, you look at the stats and, I mean, Westcliff, they technically outslayed them.
Yeah, they technically did, but again, you know, having the majority of the kills, and it cannot go unsaid as well. That was a big turnaround from Locke. You remember they were 3-13 at one point. To be able to have a turnaround like that in a game like Vanguard in a map mode like Berlin Hardpoint is no easy feat. But just finding the kills alone just does not speak volumes to the manipulation of the map that we saw from the Sun Devils, specifically from Fishity, was always making sure that they were maintaining some top third-esque position. Contra was always anchoring out more enforced spawns, but even more so than that, Effectini and Sprack were just relentless when it came down to finding spree after spree inside the hardpoint. I mean, I never really trust the right side of the screen, but I truly do believe that about 15, 16 of the overall 29 that Effectini were able to find as far as kills are concerned were within the hardpoint. They had 3 minutes worth of objective time. They were always kind of just getting mixy inside of the hardpoint itself, along with SMG duo Sprack. The continuous breaks that were coming through were great from ASU, but the overall manipulation of the map, looking at all these longer lines of sights from the AR, specifically from Fishity and Contra, never allowed the Warriors to get in a position to be able to re-break themselves.
What can I say? Proper Effectini. I mean, he's light on it. He's dancing. He floats like a butterfly. He stings like a bee. And as ASU walking away with that hardpoint, we look back at the maps for this series. Berlin hardpoint done and dusted. Desert Siege up next, and heading into the Search and Destroy. This is going to be an interesting one. I think it's going to be really telling going into this map who's prepared and who isn't prepared, because Desert Siege, it's like I said at the start of the show, Proper, I mean, yes, it's late into the season, but it's still one of those maps that if you're not prepared, you can be punished. Yeah,
you absolutely can, right? If you don't know the timings of a Desert Siege, then you're going to feel rather lost. I mean, as you probably would in the very duny sands that is Desert Siege, unless you are just kicking your feet up inside the university. But even still, there's a lot of good angles that these AR players who are already finding infamous amount of value, specifically Fishity, can really just continuously to enforce throughout the entirety of Desert Siege, who's bringing out the sniper for these two different teams to try to not only find that first blood, to be able to shut down players rotating, whether that's over by the train tracks or over by the bean dune lanes, to be able to dissuade players from getting inside of the B site early. You can also be looking towards your SMGs to get inside a university very early to be able to find that first blood, if not continuously dictate the pace in the middle of the map. There's a lot of different opportunities for a lot of different players out of the 8 that are represented between Westcliff and ASU to enforce and bring their hand towards this Desert Siege Search and Destroy. It's going to be exciting to see.
Going to be exciting indeed. Let's get right into it. Hopping on board with Fishty right off the rip. What's up top? He's got the sniper in hand. Going for the read. Don't know if he spotted Locke there, but you can see that quick plant to A for ASU. They're going to get this bomb down right away. And the post plant, majority sitting towards the water tower. So Westcliff, they're going to have to go to the spawn if they want to uproot the Sun Devils.
You can see player number 8, Stoners, is already very, very far back on the flank. Nice nade comes through from Lucasi. Will end up taking down Effectini, but it comes down to Sprack to shut down this flank play from Stoners.
Oh, he doesn't check it. He's not going to check it. Free kill for Sprack, unfortunately. You'll lose a player on the front, and Lucasi is tearing apart the Sun Devils. It's all 4 down, and Locke's going to hop that defuse right away. I mean, an interesting play at an ASU Proper. You get that bomb down fast. You put all your players in the back line, hoping to lock things down from afar. Unfortunately, you just can't get it going. Lucasi and Locke pick you apart from the front.
Yeah, I mean, that entire post plant gets a whole lot stronger if Effectini doesn't die via the Setonate. Effectini's position with an SMG would have been right outside the front doors, if not out by that window that leads to the offensive spawn out of University. That said, being able to take down Effectini, Arizona State pretty much only had longer lines of sight to be able to hold things down. They were able to collapse off of the known information from Sprack, who only found the one kill for the Sun Devils after getting a very quick plan at A. They just could not fully deal with the flank and the positional advantage that the Warriors had, who now on their offense will go 1-for-1. Fishity will be traded out. I believe Stoners does have a sniper of their own. And the bomb will be planted quickly at B. Nice help from Lucasi mid-map.
Yeah, Lucasi on 4 in a row. Looking to make it into a streak. 5 in a row now. Contra last alive in a 1v3. Stuck inside University, who struggles to get through the door. Not sure if the Warriors heard his clatter through that, but 30 seconds to make this play, and last one alive. He's just going to take a dip right off the side.
Yeah, there's just no reason to try to feed or to give more streaks up, especially with Lucasi finding themselves on 5, 2 more kills away from getting themselves a glide bomb. But even more so than that, what you're mostly going to be looking at is just the commanding presence that Westcliff are bringing inside of the Search and Destroy. A collective 2 kills for ASU through 2 different rounds, not in a good spot at all. And it's really thanks to this guy on your screen, Lucasi, running a lot of the SMG pressure, just getting in your face, middle of the map. Now looking to bring this down low inside of the B-side. Fishity should have a line of sight
Lucasi
on this. I mean, we know because of the X right here, but Fishity's on a head glitch back there, and Lucasi will find the timing for the 6th kill.
6 in a row. Strafing run. Can you get the glide bomb, though? 2v3. Sun Devils on the I guess post plan now, but I mean, it's all up to Contra in a 1v3 again. He has the bomb down, so time's in your favor, but how long can you hold on? As you can see, the Warriors trying to surge on through. You get the information from the stun, like you called proper, and they know he's going to be there. As soon as he peeks up, Stoner's got his number, and Lucasi, he's well on his way to the defuse. So it's going to be 3 unanswered rounds from the Warriors.
Yeah, 3 unanswered rounds indeed. And again, Lucasi just playing off the timing. If you are Fishity, again, you cannot just sit there and say, well, Fishity should have been able to find that kill onto Lucasi over by the BS&D site, but the timing was just simply not there. That Fishity was more focused on the B Dune side, and it just was not able to not only lock down that initial kill, but was unable to find the timing to be able to shut down Lucasi, who again was sprinting like a madman up those University steps. That said, Westcliff doing a great job, just playing all together as a team, looking like a pretty strong search and destroy team as a whole. Looking for immediate bait and switch. Lucasi wants this 7th kill, just chases it. Sprack nowhere to go. That's a trait. Keep in mind, Fishity did win the sniper 1v1 versus Stoners, but still, University presence and the glide bomb achieved.
Andy, try telling me Vanguard's not a horror game. Sprack just got scared right out of his skin right there. He was on the chase. Lucasi hunts him down. Glide bomb now in hand, and on a map like Desert Siege, as open as it is, that glide bomb is definitely almost a sure kill throughout this. It's going to have to be a big blunder to waste that streak, but still in the offense, Warriors haven't made a play for the bomb. They are going to wrap over to the B side, and this is where Fishity can come to play. He's got the sniper. He has eyes on, and bomb down with the kill on the Beastin.
Doesn't read that lock, was able to pick back up the sniper from a fallen comrade of Stoners, now in a quick scope battle versus Fishity. Fishity just has to continue to buy some time. It's really a lot of pressure on Lucasi in the back to make a move, and they get away with 1 HP, but it's a trade at that. Now Locke in a 1v2, has a sniper, gets a hit marker, but they'll be traded out for their cause. It was a good attempt. When you're thinking about Westcliff trying to play from the numbers and the positional advantage they have, but an even better adjustment coming through from ASU, just to readjust themselves, make sure that you at least held Contra up on the top defensive tower to overwatch the entirety of the AS&D site. They ended up seeing one while they were just playing a little bit of whack-a-mole up top, but even more so than that, good heads-up play from Fishity to wrap back through the middle of the B dunes, to be able to deny that plant from coming all the way through, finally getting themselves on the board.
Austin Cruelty said he was going to make a little montage for the night. Maybe he's going to want to call up Fishity, get some of these snipes, because they are clean, and toss them on in there. But first round on the board for the Sun Devils, looking to expand on that proper. Fishity still rocking the sniper, and he is going prone. He is on a mission out in the dunes to lock down this B site for his team. Unfortunately, that's going to slow things down. Bomb goes down, and he's actually going to drop to Stoners, sitting all the way back on the opposite end of the dunes.
Dropped in a precarious position. Keep in mind, you Sprack will at least see that there's one player up top. That's Beeson. Will end up going for the chow and wins the gunfight. Now Contra, 1v4. They're going to get shot in the side. The collapse comes through from ASU, and Westcliff collect off of all the data they were able to find. Keep in mind, that was a mid-adjustment that came through. Fishity has been bringing the Kar 98K, the sniper rifle, to every single round so far. This time around, Stoners breaks out the automaton, just gets right through the middle of B Dunes, and immediately just takes care of the prone player of Fishity, who is trying to put themselves on a certain mission towards the B Dune side. Couldn't walk away with anything besides a swift death. 0-5 for Contra. Going to be keeping an eye on the goose egg for the time being. An offense coming out from the Warriors. They're all just playing in the backside of B Dunes themselves. A lot of pressure for Beeson. They're waiting for the glide bomb to come all the way through, which does get channeled. Should be a free kill on Fishity. It sure is, and the bomb gets planted to boot.
Not a lot of places to hide on Desert Siege. Fishity down. 3v4 for the retake. Bomb planted for B, and the whole setup is going to be here as well. All eyes on the Warriors, and what's their next move? Well, Stoners still preying away at these players from those Outer Dunes areas. Takes down Contra. 0-6 now. And look at Sprack. He's going to take a tip off the edge. It's his turn to go for a dive. Arizona State, they are falling in the search. Now, on match point, the Warriors, they can put this one away. I mean, what is it?
Like, I think what it mostly is that for this ASU team, search and destroy has always been one of their biggest struggles. So when it comes down to other top teams as a whole, they've really struggled throughout the second cut, if you will, Colin, and it's been quite telling. Contra looking to join the agency, 0-6 for them. 10-1 for Lucasi, having themselves a lights-out performance. Could potentially close it out here. ASU going for the aggressive play for a quick B plant, but they meet Beeson over by the stairs, who finds one, gets away with their life for the time being, but it's just a collapse for Shuon out. Lucasi is not losing gunfights.
Now, Lucasi is on a tear right now. Fishity's got the sniper. Montage time. Hits the hip. Oh, hits the hip marker. He's on the chase, too. Pistol out. Cleans it up. 1v1. Recovers the MP40 as well. This is doable. You look at Stoner's positioning, though, on the map. He's completely flipped this out into ASU spawn, and I like this from Fishty. He's taking a long way around. He's going to make Stoner's guess.
Fish out of water, looking for the entire ace. The MP40, the Kar 98K to play with. I mean, Stoner's is not giving him any bit of information, but they're almost making a big brain play. He's not moving at all. And yep, he'll see him. Hey, how's it going? I'll take the ace to B. Fishity playing with this food a little bit. Hey, how's it going? I'll rip your head off. A clean ace coming through from ASU Fishity. It was nice to see, but your heads are just barely above water.
And it's Fishity's water in that round. I was a little bit scared. He was playing with his food there. I'm like, oh no, come on. I've seen this a million times. Don't give him a chance. But he still puts it away. Second round on the board for ASU. It comes down to some heroic plays out of Fishity, but they get it done, and they still have a chance here proper. Every single round that ASU picks up from here on forth, it's just going to be confidence to move into the next map.
Fishity feeling the hot hand? How big would a glide bomb truly be? Does at least see Stoners. Stoners wants no part of this. Completely backs up. Keep in mind, Beeson, the bomb carrier, does end up finding themselves close towards the A bomb site, but you got to look out for Sprack. Sprack is off the hot flank, and they're able to find two. The pinch comes in. Fishity was just the bait.
Bait indeed. And that forces the Warriors to get aggressive into the spawn of ASU. They know Fishity's going to be playing towards that outer dune area, so Beeson on the hunt for this sniper. Don't want to cut corners, though, because if you do, then Fishity's going to get eyes on. No, free kill will be there.
Do it to him. Do it to him.
Oh, he's taking his time. Spots out Sprack on the outside. Shots at a distance, but the MP40 not the gun of choice. 2v3, 43 seconds. If you find Contra up top, it's definitely going to put you in a position, but no Contra. First kill of the game, and it's a huge one.
That's Lucasi's turn. 1v3. There's a player up top. Head on a swivel. Thinks that the player's going to be coming right from behind, but some shots will come through from up top. Now you just got to stay alive. Lucasi can't find a player to shoot at. ASU win 2 rounds in a row, and that's all thanks to Sprack and a heads-up play coming through. Fishity only saw the one, but even more so than that, the communication coming through was a deep play coming out from Westcliff just to be able to play off of information across the dune side. Fishity just had to stay alive, and Sprack didn't find any resistance whatsoever over by the railroad tracks, because again, remember that it's typically Stoners who was meeting a sniper play for sniper play versus Fishity all the way by the B Dune side. I don't know why I keep saying beans, but even still, Warriors need to close it out here. Arizona State are finding value at playing very, very fast and finding value in their aggression.
They make the play again up top. That's an early Beeson. Nice read. Second one as well. I'm putting ASU against the ropes. Effectini forced to get aggressive. Beeson 3 in the round. Contra last alive. Can you turn around? Can you ace like your teammate, like your fallen comrade? Well, it's a big no. Beeston's going to put the ace on board for the last round and send Arizona to a 1-1 tie. Westcliff pulled this back.
Westcliff will at least make this series very interesting, tying up the series 1 apiece. So big swing map mode coming through for certainty, but even more so than that, I mean, you just got to wipe the sweat off your brow if you are ASU. Again, Search and Destroy versus other Top Cut teams hasn't exactly been their boon of success, if you will, Colin. But even more so than that, if you are watching this ASU and you want some immediate advice from someone that watches probably way too much Search and Destroy for his own sanity, I don't know why there was never an immediate response for what Lucasi was doing throughout the middle of the entirety of those rounds. Lucasi almost was constantly finding themselves those first bloods, was finding mid-map engagements, and nobody was in a position to at least find those trades. There was no adjustments for them throughout the entirety of that series. Keep in mind, you, Colin, that the only adjustment that did end up coming through from Westcliff was, let's just set a rogue SMG of our own to maybe try to find a value in a flank play, if not try to meet them at the gut. If you are losing those first blood gunfights, you need to be able to play against that unforced error that can come all the way through. Know that Lucasi or Beeson are going to constantly challenge you over by those university stairs, and at least try to find those trades, if not try to collect off of the handful of players that were soon to follow off of those very aggressive plays. It was a very sloppy Search and Destroy from the Sun Devils. Very sloppy indeed for a number 5 overall power ranked team. We'll take a look at the stats, and they'll be quite telling for how the entirety of that Search and Destroy played out.
No, and Andy, I was waiting for the moment that Arizona State would make the change and start kind of putting some pressure on Lucasi. Never happened. Never came. You look at him, 12-4 to finish that one out. Right away, when you look at the Sun Devils on the opposite side, though, you look at Effectini. He had such a strong game 1 on the hard point, and a 1-7 in the search. Big parallels there. And it's not a map that you would like to see from your submachine gun player in Effectini.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Effectini having a 1-7 stat line throughout the entirety of it, you can't really put too many stocks inside of Effectini having a bad map, given the simple fact that they are that lone player that is constantly trying to play with the objective, trying to not only plant that bomb, but get out with their life. They are always really the first one to go down, you truly felt like, for Arizona State. Effectini didn't get gunned on the long cross, but Effectini had probably the hardest job out of everybody from the Sun Devils within its own self. It just comes through for the other 3. Specifically, if Contra is going to be overwatching the entirety of the play with an automaton, they need to be able to deal with these players that are just running up in your face with an SMG. That the AR should be able to deal with that quite decisively. Keep in mind, you, that it could also come down to Fishity, who, again, through all 9 rounds that were played, broke out the Kar 98K continuously. Yeah, they found an ace, and that might be able to give you a certain amount of breeze over when it comes down to the ridicule that I'm about to be bringing, but your team needed help up front. If you're not finding the utmost amount of value round in and round out, you got to put that sniper away, and you got to help out with an automaton or an SMG of your own through the middle of the map and deny the amount of pressure and pace that Westcliff were setting throughout the middle of the map.
There's only so many times you can find aces inside games, especially in 1v4 situations, so totally right there. Proper. But after 2 maps, we're sitting 1-1, very strong out of the Westcliff Warriors on Desert Siege Search and Destroy. Up next, we got Control, a swing map between both of these teams. You don't want to miss it. Tuscans on the menu. See you in a bit.
Again, you alluded to it before we even came into this.
Welcome back to the Alpha Stream. We got 1-1 tied between ASU and the Westcliff Warriors. We're heading into Control. Not on Tuscan, like I said before the break. We're headed to Cavitude Control for the swing map. Once again, my name is Seymour. Alongside me is Proper. And Proper, we are in for the long haul. We get Westcliff to come back in the Search and Destroy. Even us up. We got a series.
Yeah, I mean, we're guaranteed that map 4 of a Tuscan hardpoint, but even more so than that, this is going to be continuous storylines building for itself. Westcliff being able to come through winning the Search and Destroy, almost what we were kind of seeing in the forecast, if you will. If you put up a weather map for this entirety of the series. You know, the number 12 of Westcliff Warriors are definitely up here for a reason. It's because they are a very strong search and destroy team. That said, Sun Devils not exactly the strongest search and destroy team out there for CCL 2022. When it's all said and done, they are a respawn team. They absolutely flourish in finding all of the eliminations and being able to collapse on a lot of different holds that teams have been throwing their way. It'll be interesting to say the least when it comes down to the Gavutu control for the amount of times that the Sun Devils out of Arizona State University were breaking all of the setups that the Warriors were holding back on Berlin. Can you continue on with those same vibes going in towards this Gavutu control to constantly berate any sort of setup that they're looking for on their offensive runs for ASU to be able to get the certain amount of ticks required, not only to maybe guarantee themselves a defensive side if we go to round number 5, but to be able to maybe close out an offensive round themselves?
I mean, that's the big question of control right now between these two teams. But you know, Proper, I had a chance, to talk to Beeson at one point throughout the year, and he was telling me this team has a lot of synergy together. You know, they've been playing together, throughout challengers with about, some top 16 finishes with themselves as well. Coming into the CCL, they gain a new fourth. They stick together as a team now, and I expect a team like Westcliff with the, the players that are on this squad, I expect them to get better as the year goes on, as they synergize more with that fourth and going into the last week of CCL. I mean, this is a big moment now to kind of step up to the plate, show what you have, and upset the number 5 Arizona State University inside of this, going into the playoffs, and maybe even just elevate your stocks going into the playoffs as well. Bring some more seeding into the mix.
It's going to be a lot of confidence boost, right? That, say what you will, the committee of CCL Top 25 Power Rankings voters, if you will, to be able to almost put confidence in your own strides towards playoffs, but also into the rest of the community, right? I mean, it would be a big upset, to say the least, just from numbers and Power Rankings alone, I suppose, that if Westcliff University comes out and beats the Sun Devils out of Arizona State, to where they are going to potentially be at going in towards playoffs. When it's all said and done, it's about feeling as comfortable and as confident going in towards playoffs, especially once we get in towards those inter-regional matchups, right, Colin? Because everybody over on the Western region have only been playing Western region teams. They have to be able to be feeling as confident and coming with their best foot forward, knowing that they're going to be facing other top dogs coming out from the other 3 regions.
And what, it's like the I guess we named it the division from hell. The Western Division. It is not an easy division to walk out of, and it's not an easy division to make it through. So, I mean, I think if you're the Westcliff Warriors right now, you are looking to make sure that you can make your name known a little bit early. But as we're getting things going in this Gavutu control, I'm excited to see what they can bring inside of it. I think that this is a good moment for them to maybe flip things out. If they can find 2 maps in a row, that momentum can definitely be carried into this map 4.
5-3 for control are Westcliff, 10-4 for Arizona State. What you will about the overweighing kind of stat line that it is favor for ASU. You're mostly going to be looking at these top cut plays versus Arizona State, which have been very, very close. Keep in mind, they've lost a lot of Gavutu, or not even just Gavutu controls, just controls in general. When it comes down to facing other top cut teams, take Ottawa just as an example, is their only loss, but even throughout a lot of their other series, controls have been a lot closer than I'm sure that they wanted to almost have for themselves, and that's because they always end up having the same exact issue kind of resurface itself, that they do end up finding themselves a favorable kill feed. They don't end up realizing that, hey, maybe we should play more for the objective than maybe try to play for more of a spawn trap situation, try to chase down more kills. Now that we're into overall tick progression, this Sun Devils roster needs to take a keener focus over playing around the objective more rather than trying to find the kills. They are more adept. We saw that in the Berlin hardpoint. They can find the kills. That's not the question, but it's about turning all of those kills into sufficient time, whether that's the hardpoint, whether it's finding those first bloods on search and destroy, getting that bomb down, or specifically on the Gavutu control, finding themselves those kills and guaranteeing tick progression before finding themselves superior map position.
So many ways around the control. We saw it in our last best of 5, and now it's time to see these two duke it out on the beaches of Gavutu. You have to be thinking, if you're Westcliff, you find this map number 3, maybe even if you find that map number 4, you push this to a map 5, you have to be feeling comfortable after seeing that Desert Siege and the way it went. So this is going to be a big moment in them. If they take one of these 2 maps coming up next to force it to a game 5, but I mean, even still, a chance to end it in for both of these squads. Hopping on board with Westcliff on the offense. Looks like they want to dip their toes into the A zone right away. A lot of presence here from the Sun Devils. Fishty opens up with first blood, cuts down Lucasi. It's going to slow down the Warriors for now until Locke decides to hop into A.
Top LST control. The biggest issue about Westcliff assaulting over by this A zone is that they don't have anybody top ring, and you can constantly just see player number 2 was always looking over at that beachfront, knowing that there could be a player to blow things up. That one player that is just isolating themselves over by the beachfront will end up being Effectini, who finally shows their presence, taking down Beeson off the spawn. Now, you're still stopping the clock marginally if you are Westcliff. You're trying to maintain top ship control, but the issue is that the rest of your reinforcements are being cut down before you can comfortably get back up here.
Contra having a better start to the control than he did the search and destroy. Gonna hop over the side, a little bit of help with Sprack. Swaps the MP40, can't get it up in time to take on Lucasi. So break in for the Warriors to this A zone, stops the clock at 42 seconds, collecting this second tick of progression. Here comes the Sun Devils for the retake, but you can see Warriors ready for it. Locke's gonna cut down Sprack. This third tick being collected, and it's gonna go to the Sun Devils. They give it up. They let another tick on, or they let another minute on board. Lives are even.
I'd say definitely the right call. You don't want to be giving up more lives. Most importantly, you don't want to give the Westcliff Warriors a further opportunity to try to get on the backside of green, but they're not flooding for that position. Fishity is playing in a position to maybe try to find some information. Lucasi's spider senses were minorly tinging, but doesn't sod out Fishity. Throws some shots over towards the defensive tank, and they're going to be gunned all the way down. While all this push was happening, the Warriors were trying to get top ring control and push that back in towards the B zone. It does not come up in their favor, so they're back to the drawing board again.
Back to the drawing board, and that's going to start off with taking control of ring. You see player number 1 and 2, Beast and Lucasi, looking to knock down Sprack, and they do. Opens up an opportunity now through the beaches, but waiting on the call from Locke. Seems like they want to wait for him to pinch and set things up. But a nice shot at a sonar is going to take down Fishy inside green. Here comes Locke now. It's a 1-2 punch. 2 go down from the Sun Devils. Here come the Warriors now surging on forward. Lucasi's going to be in. Stops the clock at 46 seconds. Now it's time to collect time.
Biggest player that could be blowing up this player entirely will be Fishity, who actually makes the long play happen from the bottom side of Cage. And while this is happening, Locke is just upside and top green, just trying to at least hold the line for the time being, but Fishity finally pounces, finds that 1 kill. Now it's about isolating this last player inside of the B lander, and Fishity will clean up on Lucasi, only allowing a single tick of progress to come all the way through. 38 seconds remaining. The Warriors do have a whole set of respawns over their adversaries of the Sun Devils.
It's a clean retake. Unfortunately, they don't get Locke, so still picking apart these players in their own spawn. You're going to allow these respawns for your team to get back to the B zone, but you look at this play out of the ASU. They completely neglect Locke. They push to the middle of the map for ring control, and it's going to blow up in their face. 4 go down. Westcliff hop on the B zone, and they got the second tick right away. Working on the third. This one is going fast. You have the stack on board. Can ASU even touch onto this one? You got to go fast. You got to go now, and it doesn't look like they're going to get there in time. No, Effectini does, so progression stopped. You got Beeson sitting low. Slides on out for the kill, and he's going to find it. The B site, it is gone, and Westcliff take the offensive round.
And that was actually such a big engagement coming through from Westcliff there at the very end. They recognize a plot hole within the setup for ASU, and that was just a very linear setup. Nobody was trying to push it up for top ring control. All of the Warriors, they found that 1 kill, and they immediately turned ring control into isolating the last player over by that pillar head glitch just beyond the B zone itself. Finding that last kill, and then making sure that you had Locke in that power position, watching more or less all of the players spawn for ASU on the backside of green, was just finding themselves a lot of damage. Didn't need to find all the kills in the world, although they did walk out of that round 10 and 3 column. They just found a lot of pressure and damage to keep ASU at bay to try to retake it back from the south side of the B zone. So now ASU, they are put on their back foot as they have to convert an offensive round in their favor, and they try to go for ring control, and they meet the barrel of Beeson, who now finds themselves on a 5.
Beeson playing hide and seek, but unfortunately the person hiding, he can fight back, so he's going to pop up, take down 2, and now looking to the respawns. The spawn trap is in place. The Sun Devils, they need to find a way out. Lukas is going to take down Effectini. Sprack for the trade opens up an opportunity to pull out through Cliffside. Lucasi's still up front and personal. Has the backup from Sonos as well, but break's going to come through. Lucasi goes down. Sprack finds a big 2, and that's going to open up the A zone. Susceptible for some progression.
You would think so, right? But the biggest player to watch out for will end up being Locke, who I believe is still playing on top LSC. And that's buying a lot of time for the rest of the Warriors to try to work their way out from bottom cage and try to reinforce this A zone. Down to 25 seconds, and Westcliff Warriors, they still have that 5-life lead.
Contra, he's a little bit confused. He doesn't know where they went. As soon as he gets to the top deck, it's already been a wraparound for ASU, or for Westcliff, and They take care of business over to A. Affectini, the overextension to B, doesn't do really anything. 22 seconds left. A major life advantage for the Warriors. Hopping on A will be ASU for the respawn, but it's not going to be a stack, so it's going to allow Stoners on in through the door. Big one-on-one there from Contra. Has some help from Fishy, so we'll be able to maintain positioning on this. And moments at a Fishy here of greatness, but it's only so great for so long because Beeson, he comes up to clean up. Takes down the 2 on the inside. 14 seconds left. This has to be perfect from ASU for this A zone to be captured.
Got to stack it now if you are ASU. You have to extend this clock off of this play. You're buying so much time, but again, the issue is that they're only putting one player on it, and that allows Beeson to recontest through the center of the map where they find yet another 2. 8 seconds remaining, and the Sun Devils, they need to fly across the map, but they won't be able to get here in time, Colin. 18v9, that is a big life lead, and ASU only walk away with 2 ticks of progress, but it's Westcliff that go up 2-0 on the control.
The Warriors are getting it done on the beaches of Cavatu. Up 2-0 in the control, you find the offense, you take care of business on the defense, only giving up 2 ticks of progression as well, so it's a whole 6 ticks to 2 for if you're looking forward to that round 5 in the end, and this needs to be monumental out of the Sun Devils if they want a chance at this Cavatu, because you have to be thinking, even if you find 2 rounds here proper, even if you find that offense, I mean, that round 5, you gotta do it again.
Yeah, you know they're going to have to win multiple offensive rounds now if you are the Sun Devils, unless you fully shut down the push coming through offensively this time around from the Warriors, not playing around with ring control yet again. They are looking for top LST control. They do find that first blood. It does get traded back, keep in mind but you still have Locke in this power position. 17-7 for the kid. Will finally be traded on out from this top 3rd position, but even more so than that, ASU do a bang-up job at just trying to recontest this A zone, but they still have to deal with Stoners up top. The reinforcements coming down from the cliff path.
It seems like they don't need to take down Stoners just yet. Affectini's going to slip through the middle of the map, take down the player on the inside, loses the one-on-one to Locke, so won't keep him down 4-2 too long. It's a well-placed nade of the Sprack to uproot that presence and still split kill feed proper. Back and forth from either squad, just throwing punches at each other just to get map control. This is so scrappy, and somehow, some way, the Sun Devils still holding on to no ticks at the A zone. You got 35 seconds left if you're the Warriors.
A very interesting push there out the last respawn for Beast and try to make a play going over towards B rather than stopping through recontrol and try to reinforce this push over towards A. But there's still presence going over towards the A zone if you are the Warriors. Nades are starting to come through. It goes 2 for 1. Stoner's in this top position still. Now finds themselves kill number 6 in a row. One more kill should be able to get themselves the glide bomb. Sprax in the back over by Cliff. You know Stoners wants this kill. Cannot find it. Just has to find one more. Shaky shots will come through, but the glide bomb will still be put in the back pocket. 13 seconds remaining, and the Warriors are looking to stack this A zone more or less to try to extend the clock.
And it's the big problem that you said, taking down Stoners up top. You can see it didn't work at first, but eventually he snuck through. He finds it. Last chance for Affectini to take this down. Hops in. Off progression. 10 seconds left. Snaps the second 2. 3 go down. It's up to Stoners to hold on tight, but it's Affectini going big with 3 in a row to break back into A, only giving up 1 tick. You got no time here if you're the Warriors. That's going to be the Sun Devils staying alive in round number 3.
And the biggest issue, even more so than that, apart from having to win multiple offensive rounds for the Sun Devils, is that you have that glide bomb in the back pocket for Stoners. They can absolutely close it out on a defensive round, just keeping all of ASU at bay. Even if they lose that A zone for Westcliff Warriors, they can hold on to the B zone knowing that they have that glide bomb in their back pocket. If things get really hairy for them, they can clear off the entirety of the B zone, more or less buy the space for the defensive members to work their way back. We'll have to see how Stoners will call that glide bomb in. They're 20-8 currently. 2 players inside of top green, while ASU are sending 2 players in top LSC, trying to create a lot of space early, but Sprack pulling their best Icarus suppression, pushing a little bit too close to the sun, just allows Lucasi to clean things up. A big kill feed goes in the favor for the Warriors to start off this round.
And Andy, we didn't really highlight it at the end of that, but ASU, they only give up 1 tick in that last round. So Westcliff Warriors, they're up to 7. And Arizona, they found 1 back on their first offense. So if they get full A site and full B site, that's going to even us up. 7 apiece for that tick progression on either end. It might come up to kills if ASU find this offensive round.
biggest issue is that they have to find the offensive round. They have not really shown much presence over towards either of these two zones, and there's, again, just too many isolated plays. You got Sprack on the backside of green. Rather than trying to hold their life, is trying to find more kills in towards the back, and because the Warriors were able to clean things up, now they have control of the middle of the map. They can fly all the way forward with their ring control, with top LST control, and just absolutely beam ASU whenever they see these players.
Owners takes down Effectini. Can he stay alive? Not for too long. It's a 2-for-1. Opening up an avenue through this B zone, but still, here comes the glide bomb. 11 seconds left. You've burned so much time off this clock, and Sprack's going to go down from the glide bomb. So now the Warriors with number advantage. They're going to surge on forward, clear out the rest of the Sun Devils. Contra looking to play coy over to the B zone long enough for the respawns to make something happen, although you are in a sticky situation, and you're going to be making desperate attempts at these zones if you are ASU, and those plays are just gonna blow up in your face right now. You can see the Warriors picking them apart only for so long because ASU, they find their way out.
Yeah, there's no reason to try to over-invest now if you are the Warriors. I mean, you do have numbers towards the middle of the map, and you could try to collapse on this A zone, but there's just too many numbers here. The 60 seconds might just be out onto the board. Sprack is just holding an angle. Pre-fires it. He's already looking at it. It just comes down to one more player inside. It's Lucasi. They're going to be gunned. 16v13. You're still finding kills, but Beeson finds a big two-piece. Now it comes down to Effectini to try to extend the game.
Has to get in. 1.9 seconds. Big one-on-one there. Lock's going to win it. And Stoners takes on the second. No more time remaining. And Westcliff Warriors, they're going to take the swing map proper. They're going to be leading the series now 2-1 after 2 map wins in a row.
The objective gameplay just too strong for Westcliff. Again, when you're thinking about it, it is as cut and dry as that ASU were, again, trying to chase ghosts on the backside of green too many times. You were trying to find positioning to where you didn't necessarily have to get on the backside of green that early on. You had to make sure that there was nobody trying to contest in the middle of the map, and although you had players trying to find ring control, those players for the Sun Devils that were constantly trying to get that ring control were doing it from the beachfront. They weren't actually over in the concrete stairs to deal with the Westcliff Warriors from constantly moving their way down the tank line in the middle of the map to recontest that A zone over and over again defensively. More or less, when it comes down to ASU's defense, I don't know how many times I need to scream that there was still a player for the Warriors that was on top LST. Although they dealt with the players inside of the A zone, they allowed not only Lock, but Stoners just to exist up on top third LST for far too long. To be able to get streaks on two different players, both Beeston and Stoners were able to get those glide bombs and were able to reinforce with gunplay alone from a superior position. I just don't understand why ASU just allowed all these players to be able to get such superior positioning time and time again. A little bit of a slip up if you're asking me for the Sun Devils in a respawn game mode with how effective they can truly be in a game mode like Control that we've seen all year long, now staring down the barrel of this ending 3-1 on the upcoming hardpoint.
And, you know, proper, ever since we saw that search and destroy, this ASU team, they've looked disjointed. They've looked disconnected and not on the same page. We look at the stats. We look at the players on their team as well, and every single player negative. I mean, Sprack, 21 and 22. He's the closest one to being even, and even still, he wasn't able to hit the mark. So, I mean, something needs to change on the Sun Devils roster going into this map number 4 because 2 maps in a row, you're missing the mark and you just don't look like you're on the same page. You need to find yourselves going into the hard point.
It's just all of these isolated plays, isn't it? I mean, you have a lot of different individuals putting themselves in positioning to maybe try to go and find themselves these two pieces, but I mean, if you're looking at the Warriors, they're just playing just fundamental. Like, they're making sure that there's always a player to maybe to find a trade or two, and that's why you're seeing just such big performances coming out from both Locke and Stoners, who are not the fast players, keep in mind you, for Westcliff Warriors. That is Beeson and Lucasi, and you can generally see that just in the stat lines alone. 14 and 18 for Lucasi as an SMG player, wanted to take a back seat on a map like Avutu, and that's a smart call, given the simple fact that this is a bigger map, specifically off of all the cross and longer lines of sights. And they absolutely collect off of everything that they were able to find off of the errors that ASU were bringing to the table. That if you bring that same mentality going over towards the Tuscan hardpoint, maybe that might be able to play in your favor if you are ASU. You won that Berlin hardpoint 250 to 200 because you were able to outslay your opponents marginally of the Westcliff Warriors, but you were able to constantly break all of these setups that the Warriors were bringing to the table. More or less, you were finding rotational gunfights one after another. Something needs to click for ASU going in towards the Tuscan hardpoint if they have any hopes of extending it to a Bokash search and destroy for map 5.
I don't know about you, Andy, but after that search and destroy, I mean, Lucasi, he kind of earned taking a back seat going into map number 3, and they still get the job done, you know, without him putting up those big numbers like we saw in the Desert Siege. And heading into this Tuscan, if you're the Sun Devils, you just need to find that pace that you had back on Berlin. And lucky for yourself, you're going back to the same game mode. So, I mean, realistically, you just got to do it again. You looked fantastic for the breaks, for the rotations. The fundamentals were there. And Tuscan, it's a map where fundamentals can shine just as much as Berlin can.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, playing for those rotations early on, playing for the god setups, if you will, when you're thinking about P2, which can be a money hill, making sure that there's no monkey business going on the backside of Church, holding that god tank heady can absolutely shut down a lot of those plays, not to mention those half walls that are over there as well. But even still, the difference maker in between, even down here at the collegiate level, which is going to set a team apart from the others, is how they are manipulating those new P3 spawns. Now that they're happening over by the rooftops, rather than on the backside of the well itself, or the fountain, excuse me, that it's going to be quite telling to be able to see who's going to be stepping up for a lot of these teams to be able to influence P3 to still be a big money hill. Who's going to be the route man, finding those rotational gunfights and to be able to sway the decision-making to be able to snowball a lot of these hard points out of the way. Because if you know as well as I do, Colin, coming away from a Tuscan hard point, no matter the level that you're playing, there is always a big opportunity to be able to turn scrap into initial if you do have that route player joined in with another big slaying individual that can find these rotational gunfights and turn scrap into initial.
Well, you're going into Tuscan, and, you know, one thing that I'm surprised about, Andy, is that we've gone 3 maps with ASU, and I haven't seen a Volk on Fishity's hands just yet. If any map's going to bring it out, it's going to be this one, but I'm curious if, you know, the players may have agreed to not bring it out.
Probably. I haven't seen anything go on inside of the GA sheet, though that could be a little bit outdated. It could honestly come through today, and maybe I didn't see it on the TL, but we haven't seen a single Volk all day long on the CCL. There's a lot of camaraderie going on as far as the Volk was concerned, conversation base across Twitter and all of the different spheres in between. So I'd probably go ahead and assume that if we don't see Fishity running their mainstay weapon of the Volk, that thing is probably GA'd, and we probably won't be seeing it anytime soon, Colin. We'll have to see how it continues to play out. Stoners up top, offensive round to start things off for Arizona, for Arizona State, excuse me. Colors are backwards, but at the end of the day, it will end up being Westcliff Warriors on the offense first. We'll get that top of the screen just fixed for you here momentarily. They are showing presence over towards A very quickly here, Colin, but the biggest player to watch out for will be Efectini. They end up at least taking down the player on the A zone itself, keeping all of the players at bay. For P1, it's looking pretty good for ASU to be able to hold those P2 spawns for the time being.
It was looking good for time as well until you had Stoners. Right 3 in a row through the spawns and looking for number 4 around the corner. Efectini not ready for Stoners to be there, but still teammates there to save him out. Look at the kills coming through. ASU in the kill feed. They're going to be rotating over to the P2 early for those setups, and it's good time for Westcliff off this first hill, but now it's breaking ASU in their own spawn. Can you get that done? Working from the top side of the map, you got 2 players here. Contra cuts down the first. A win over towards P5 is going to open up a flank for the Warriors, maybe to take care of Patio for the high ground, and they are in position now to jump off with the contention. Efectini not getting any information at all. He's just going to be staying looking the same way. It's going to be 3 down for the Sun Devils. Sprack, the last one standing, has to go big, finds one, and he's going to get cut down from Lucasi, so a break early from Westcliff into P2.
It's a break with 30 seconds remaining, and you're going to be feeling pretty darn good about that if you are the Warriors. You do have these back church spawns, so you can reinforce this very quickly, but most importantly, ASU are not dealing with locked up top Patio, who does find 2 kills, so now you got to chalk it. If you are the Sun Devils, just rotate all the way out, makes that site work pretty darn cleanly if you are locked to be able to take down Fishity inside a top radio. That'll at least buy you a lot of time, and well, Stoners actually ends up spawning in over here as well. They need to hold the line and just buy a lot more time for the rest of the Warriors to work their way across P5. They will find success in doing so. So now the spawns will flip all the way out. ASU spawning on the north. Westcliff Warriors in a prime position to try to break early.
From the rooftops. Break not going to be there just yet. Stoners keeping a presence, and Lucasi looking to pinch. He's got 2 down, so it's going to be even gunfights on the inside, although you do see still split on either side. ASU holding on for a while until the break from Beeston through Vines. Nobody collecting time for now, Andy. You do see the spawns for the Warriors still up onto the rooftops, but it's a late flank from Lucasi through the middle of the map, keeping things a little bit mixy. It's just back and forth from either team until the rest of the Warriors barrel on through. They get the pinch, they break the time, but, you You know, 17 seconds to collect here. It's been very scrappy in this P through. You got still ASU in the back. It's Westcliff playing for the rotation.
Yeah, and look at the communication that also came through there at the back end of those 10 seconds for P3, right? Warriors ended up spawning over by field, and they immediately just chalk it, try to reinforce the backside of radio, and Sprack does not want this to go away for free. They make the heads-up play trying to cut through the middle of the map. They did find one towards the back, but reinforcements need to follow all the way suit. Fishity now on a 4, goes towards the Rat Pistol, then back over towards the Automaton to find kill number 5. This is a problem if you are the Warriors. You don't want Fishity to build Shrieks.
On 5 in a row. Moving up top into the church. Has the middle of the map on lock, but that's not where the Warriors are going. They're going all the way around to the north side of the mini-map and losing lives fast. Lucasi looking to make a break from the side, but it's going to be up to Beaston, and Fishity's here to put 6 in a row. Locks down that strafing run and spawning up the Warriors all the way down P2. Not going to find the glide bomb. Lock makes the extension up top. He's going to find 2 before dropping. It's going to leave Lucasi in the one-on-one to take scrap time. So Warriors, even though you lose out on a little bit of time there, you still maintain a mostly even game going into P5.
Yeah, you'll be able to at least see Arizona State contest for the scrap time. That's Fishity that makes a heads-up play to be able to find said scrap time, and the rest of the Warriors are actually still spawning in on the backside of Church, and that should be communicated given that Arizona State are still spawning in effectively for P3. When that said, Westcliff Warriors, they were able to maintain their position inside of the communications room for the time being. You got to deal with these players inside of the staircase. That is a nasty spot to have an SMG presence like Locke, who was on a 5 spree. Contra answers back with a big old 2 of their own, but ASU should have numbers to get the full-on break with 30 seconds remaining here in 5.
The pre-fire from Lucasi, not going to get the jump done. Still, utility making this a tough one to collect time on the inside. 2 go down again for the Warriors. Stoners looking to make a play for the staircase, but snapped on by Sprack. Those 3 go down. ASU in a position now to have the lead going into the next set of rotations. And Andy, this has been almost mirrored from Berlin Hardpoint. It's been close neck and neck series, but in the end, it's always ASU just on top.
Yeah, I mean, ASU just need to continue to find their strides. This is almost everything that we were talking about from the Berlin Hardpoint. They were constantly able to find these breaks for 20, 25 seconds, making sure that Warriors were never able to win those contested battles, more or less be able to lock down the initial 25, if not the opening 30 seconds, and that should garner you a Hardpoint win more often than not, no matter the map that you are on. So going in towards the second set, it is a slight lead for Arizona State. Fishity looking to get Mixie through the middle of the map. Does find 2, but you got to be able to extend this presence towards top church, and when this is all happening off-screen, Stoners does end up finding a lot of pressure over by P1. That not only means that the contested time should be good for the Warriors, but it will also mean that the lead will swap.
Oh, Lucasi's on rollerblades right now, skating through you. The break comes through for the Warriors, now collecting time. And evens us up. We're even going to see a lead change here on P1. And a big setup from the Warriors, a big moment for them to even be holding onto the rotations proper. They are going to have a very comfortable transition from Hill 1 to Hill 2.
Comes down to making sure that you can maintain this setup, and you can see the Warriors, they went all in rather than trying to battle out for the scrap time. They really wanted to make sure that the setup going in towards 2 was a strong one, but the issue was that you lost your player top church, so that means that you have to shift all of your attention over towards the back church exit, which Beeson is able to pick up scrap. So now when you're looking at this for Arizona State, this is 100% a linear hit coming out from the rampways and inside of radio, and this is a heads up play from Beeson.
Heads up play to go up top. Takes out 1. Contra on the escape. Enough time to allow Spectini into the mix as well. But you look at that. They fall flat. 3 go down again for the Sun Devils. Looking to pick up the last Effectini in the inside, and they do. So hopping back into time, but you still are going to get a contest here on Contra. You can slides on in for the contention. Won't be able to finish his kill, and again, shut down the Sun Devils. Won't be able to find a break in P2 with 14 seconds left. You have to be thinking about the rotations.
Yeah, you got to be thinking about the rotations indeed. Lucasi off screen does take down Effectini. That's inside of map. So now you got to push in for the rooftop spawn. Sprack goes 1 for 1 over here. Does end up picking up the last. That would have been massive failure if you are Arizona State with these closer spawns, if you end up giving them again over towards the Warriors over by rooftop. So now they're spawning in on the north side of church. You have to deal with the middle of the map at the same time. Trades will be good enough. Setup will be here for the time being from the Warriors, but there's not a lot of help inside the hardpoint itself for Fishity.
You see with the presence toward rooftops, Warriors spawning up towards P1. Working through vines, Beast and Stoners, a little 1-2 punch to get Lucasi on the inside. break does come through, but only for so long considering that's there. You look at player number 1, Beaston, looking to make the move from behind, finds Fishity, takes him down, finds a second on his sprack, lets him on, and the Warriors surging forward, but Contra goes big for 2, and that should be a cleanup for the Sun Devils to pick up the rest. Scrap time in their favor. Warriors on the rotation.
Yeah, they have to be on the rotation. This is not a hard point that you want to be battling for scrap. Otherwise, if you win those gunfights convincingly, you will probably end up spawning in over by the rooftops. Big kill from Beeson will take down Fishity, so no monkey business going into the backside of 4, not this time around. You know that the Warriors are going to be spawning still over by P3, so it's just about dealing with these players that are going to be up top. Sprack does take down Lucasi. Middle of the map has been consumed by Contra, who also takes down a teammate. So you're doing this without one more player, but still the break can come all the way through.
Still the kills coming up for ASU. Fishity with the beatdown. Contra for the follow-up, and that's going to be another break here from the Sun Devils, spawning up the Warriors all the way down P2 once more, so they're going to have to traverse through that backside of the minimap just to get back into this church, and here they come. Lucasi and Stoners, they find 2, allows the break to come through once more. Late game here, 24 seconds of time to collect, and this is time you really want. If you're Westcliff, it looks like they're going to grab it, just a few more gunfights, and that's going to be a lead change in their favor, and a little bit of comfort room going into the next hill.
The biggest issue going in towards P5 throughout the first set for ASU, especially for the initial time, is that there was a lot of bottom floor presence coming through from the Warriors. But this time around, Beeson has gone completely unnoticed. Makes the long flank play happen all the way over by rooftops. And this might not be a position that you're going to be worried about if you are ASU. They got 2 players inside of time for the time being, but even more so than that, Beeson makes a little bit of a disjointed play. Did not have immediate help. Effectini does clean up 2 kills inside of P5. The rotational battles are all the way through, and it's ASU that are able to maintain the time for now.
ASU, they need to find this map if they want to see a map 5 in the series, but Warriors looking for the upset on the last match of Alpha. You see, we're going to get another lead change inside this hill, number 5, with 30 seconds. Plenty of time for Arizona State to get close to a map victory to send us to that Bokosh map number 5. The Westcliff Warriors, they don't want to give it up just yet. Locke's going to take a late push, hops in for the contention, won't be there for too long. It's Fishity on 5 in a row to collect the rest.
More kills for another glide bomb. Has another opportunity to be able to do it. Tries to at least deal with Lucasi inside the doorway. It's going to be a late break. 5 seconds remaining. This is not good time if you are Westcliff, but still a heads-up play to send Lucasi to maybe try to contest this time for a little bit. 228 v 207. In towards a third set of hard points we go. ASU are absolutely flourishing and playing very, very guessy wherever they are trying to put themselves in a positional advantage for it, and it's all thanks to Sprack. SMG in hand finds one more player inside of you. You still have players to maintain this position if you are Locke. Has to stay alive while the respawns come around.
Sprack's been getting big impact kills, and he's keeping it going. Arizona State find the break. Nobody's collecting time. They're still focused on the kills, making sure that it is comfortable when they hop on in. 20 seconds left. The game is all but over, and we're going to be seeing a Bokosh map number 5. So you see Westcliff Warriors off the respawn. This is a must break if you want to go to another hill, but nobody's in a position to touch. Everybody's being boxed out from this hill, and the Warriors so far away. 2 more seconds. We're going to Bokosh. Give us the map 5.
That got scary if you are ASU, but at least you're able to lock down both the hard points within the series, extending to a map number 5, and it's all thanks to finally finding that 6th gear, thanks to Sprack, because if you were not meeting the pace that was being set continuously through the middle of the map, specifically from the SMG presence that was being brought to the table, thanks to the Westcliff Warriors, you probably would have been more than down when it came down towards that third set of hard points, because you did have the Warriors really starting to build themselves a comfort as far as finding themselves these continuous setups. But again, when you go back to the Berlin hardpoint, the same could be said about Tuscan. Every single setup that the Warriors were holding for themselves, it just took down one player to almost lose their gunfight, and then the rest of the flood was coming all the way through. Nobody was there to pick up where that last player was being dropped from, and still the Warriors were always so, overly focused on the other pushes that could come all the way through, specifically over by P4. Through 2 different hardpoint sets, we had Westcliff Warriors in for the initial time, and the break came through from the front continuously. It just took down one player up towards Top Church, and the rest of the Warriors were not worried about the push that could come all the way through inside the front of Church. They were overly focused on the ramp outside of Patio over by P2 and over by Grass outside of P1, that they never really gave any glimpse of hope that they maybe could have picked up players coming through from the front. It just took down the ASU for a handful of moments to find themselves free after free, Effectini or Efficiency, and we'll see it in the stats here momentarily. That went big at the right moments for ASU to be able to find those breaks, to be able to find the map win as well.
Again, you point at F-15, and I was going to do so as well. He only goes 27-27, a relatively tame game from himself compared to that Berlin hardpoint that we saw in map number 1. But I highlighted it at the end inside that P1 for the third rotation. I'd say most kills that he was finding inside of this game were impact kills. And that's a huge thing that you're getting in a map like Tuscan when your SMG is running rampant like he was. So big things coming out of ASU to get us to this map number 5. And Andy, I mean, it's nice to see them clicking again going into this map 4. I think that was a much needed map in the series.
Yeah, it absolutely was, right? I mean, you know, for a lot of different purposes. It was it was a big map win for ASU, given the fact that, you know, if they lost it, obviously they would have lost the series. But even more so than that, it's a big confidence boost to be able to showcase what little team play that we did see from ASU going in towards a Bocage Search and Destroy, were the same kind of mixiness while also maintaining that team play is going to be a big focal point for success. Now that the A bomb site has moved out from Grandma's and over towards that A plat position, it's going to be quite telling to be able to see how these teams, specifically for ASU, will be able to not only hold their position, but to be able to get themselves that bomb down, find themselves those first bloods, and deny Westcliff any mid-map silliness that they were able to find continuously throughout that Desert Siege.
Hey, map 5, I'm here for it. Injected into my veins. It's energizing at the end of the day here on the Alpha Stream. We are going the distance between these two teams, Andy, and Bocage is on the menu. We go around the world, and we got one more stop left. We're headed to a break, and when we come back, we are finishing this series. It's either an upset or Arizona State's going to come out on top. And we are into the action. Game number 5. Bocage Search and Destroy. Arizona State. Westcliff Warriors. Proper. It all ends here.
It all ends right here. Yeah, on Bocage Search and Destroy on offense. First and foremost, it'll be Westcliff Warriors to try to mount any sort of offense. Look out for Locke, though. He's already on the backside of the hedges, but Contra will be right there to shut him down for first blood.
First blood and a slowdown over the Warriors offense. Still working their way to A, but Contra, he is just the recipe right now. The shutting down every presence that Westcliff trying to bring to this A site. It is going to be an opening from Lucasi to take down Sprack 3v2, but you need to recover this bomb, and I mean, second of all, you need to take down Contra in the back. He is an immovable object.
30 seconds remaining. This is still very doable for the Warriors up on offense. Lucasi does have Grandma's control, but that's only the bottom floor. You still got to deal with Fish. He's up top. And with Contra taking down Stoners, Lucasi has to go big like what they saw in the Desert Sea Search and Destroy. Does at least find Fishy, breaks their camera as well, but it's Contra in the back that finds all 4 in the round. Start feeding them one by one. That's exactly what starts to come through.
It was worth a try from Lucasi at the end there. I mean, why not? You know Contra's back there. Fly. Take a shot at it. Maybe you can take down Contra, but nobody can take down Contra. It's 4 in the round, like you said. An ace to open this one up. And already a better start to Bocage Search than we saw in their Desert Siege search.
We'll have to see. ASU can continue on with this force spree that Contra was able to find for themselves. Again, the full ace through the offensive round, just holding that God tank in towards the back. They're actually going to look to bring this over towards B. There are 2 players over here, keep in mind you, for the Westcliff Warrior. Was all these ordnance being thrown over here? Rotation has to be come through to deal with these players.
Fishy finds the first. Sprack the second. Locke now here. Has to stand tall and tall. He does. He finds both of them. Dropping that bomb. F-15 now. Forcing it aggressive. Jumps into the pit. Finds the trade. Stoner's last alive in a 1v2. He's completely flipped this one out proper. So he's in a position where he actually might be able to find some good timing on this bomb carrier, but he doesn't. The bomb's rotated to A.
That's a dead body. Sorry, Stoners. I would have shot at that too. Don't worry. Bomb's going to get planted here at A, and look at the post-plant situation. You got Fishy on the backside of the God Tank. Stoners does not pop dead silence. He's making a lot of noise on the backside of Grandma's, and there's no way he can hop on this. Needs to find these 2 kills in the back on.
Not going to be easy. We saw Contra in the same position. Fishy. Eyes on the top. He looks away. A chance now for Stoners. Finds the first. Doesn't spot out Fishy, but he makes it a 1v1 and he escapes. Fishy still on that God heady. Stoners should find this eventually, but there's only 19 seconds. There's not enough time to go in the back. He's got to go fast. Fishy's not looking. Stoners, the kill's going to be there. 13 seconds left. Plenty of time for the defuse. Yeah, plenty of time for the defuse.
You were just as hesitant as I was leaning into my monitor right there, just like, is he going to get there in time? Just 1.7 seconds to spare. It was that play right there that needed to come through as quickly as he did. He cleared all the way through bottom grandma's, got up top, made sure that there was nobody inside the attic, and then they did find some very lockdown shots. It almost felt like that both the remaining players for ASU were looking in the same direction over towards the tank formation. Give the big ol' 07 there, Stoners, a little salute to the factor of a clutch round, evening things up one apiece here. This comes down to the Warriors to be able to rectify the issue that they had in their last offense, and that was feeding Contra 4 kills.
We get an ace, and then we get a clutch. Two parallels there. Stoners finds the shots on efficiency. He can't line it up through the wall. But it's Locke who opens up with the first blood onto Contra, so shutting down that player who was so favorable back in round number 1 in a second as well. So it's going to open up the A site for a plant. 4v2, Sprack and Effectini on the retake.
Easier said than done for this retake as well. I mean, look at the post-plant situation. You have everything cut down the middle of the map, and Effectini, although they might be able to find a consolation elimination on the Stoners, they will be cut down as well. That silence is popped here for Sprack, so all of these breaking of doorways won't be heard by the enemy team, but even more so than that, you got 20 seconds, just about 13 or so, to be able to collect these 2 kills. Should be able to find a clean one in the back. Yeah, Sprack might be able to do this. It's just about finding the last player of Locke who is not on the backside of the God Tank. Time is your immediate adversary, and Sprack can't clutch things out. Can't even find this last kill. We'll hear the door break open, and Locke will take him out of commission with the last kill in the round. Westcliff piecing together the back two.
The Sprack was on go there, and, you know, it almost made it work, too. But Locke makes the heads-up play, realizes that the player, Sprack, was moving all the way through that spawn to God. Had he, rightfully so, being as that's where most post plants are going to be. But, I mean, Locke flips it out, plays the time, finds the round as well. 2 in a row for Westcliff Warriors now back on the defense. It was a clutch out of Stoners, a 1v2. What are we going to see this time around?
Offensive push is favoring more towards the tank formation. The biggest issue is that Effectini is that bomb carrier, is already pushed past stables and looking for this position. Maybe there's a player on top of stairs. Won't be the case, and because they didn't have any immediate help, Locke will find first blood on the bomb carrier of all things just outside of the shed.
Another first blood for the Warriors. 3 in a row, Andy. Gonna force the Sun Devils try and make an aggressive play over towards the A side. See if they can pull the SWAT back. Stoners burst through the door. Doesn't spot the player, but it made the noise and allows Contra to know he's there. Contra strikes on the Stoners, and Fish, and he doubles down on a Beastin, so flips the script. Numbers in ASU's hand, but with 48 seconds left, they still need to get this bomb. And you look at Locke. He's overextending all the way through the middle of the map, right to where he took down Effectini. He could be in a position to shut down Contra.
We'll find Fishity, but up on top of the gate itself is a very tradable position, and Sprack will clean them up. Now it's up to Lucasi to deal with these players. The bomb got collected. It's going to be planted at B.
Another 1v2 for the Warriors. This time Lucasi eyes on a Sprack, but caught mantling over the corner, so not enough time to get his gun up, and that's going to be an answer back from the Sun Devils to even us up, Andy.
Yeah, 3v4, no less, after finding that first blood on the Effectini. He's playing a very difficult role. I brought this up during the Desert Siege map, too. Almost feels like it was centuries ago since we were there and now we're here. But even still, it's one of those things that Effectini needed help in the middle of the map, trying to make an aggressive play over towards gate. Luckily enough for the remaining players, specifically of Contra and Sprack, they were able to not only find that trade onto one player over towards gate, but also were able to get that bomb planted at B and put themselves in a very good position. Now for another offensive Westcliff, favoring towards his barn control. You already have Lucasi inside of Grandma's as well.
Beastin, we're just trying to stay alive. Get to the wall. Get to the wall, Beastin. No, don't worry. Your teammates there to help you out. Big help from Lucasi and Locke. They line up too. Locke with the sniper out as well, Andy. So putting the boomstick to use, and that's numbers in the Warriors' hands. In a situation where Beastin very well could have fallen, and he's going to take this bomb. He's going to wrap it all to B. You look who's there. It's Effectini up top. He's going to be the player that needs to go big.
This was a great call. Again, some shots were being thrown out from Sprack up top of that God Tank, and you know that nobody's going to be rotating inside of Grandma's. They find Effectini down low inside of the river. That's going to be communicated for Sprack, who's in a 1v-odd situation, and the beams come out from Stoner's top gate to shut it all down. That was a fantastic offensive push when it came out from the Warriors. They immediately get themselves barn control. They find themselves Grandma's bottom floor as well. And from there on out, it was just isolating players left, right, and center. Did not want to play with the potential that there was going to be a player on the top of that God tank, which Sprack was, to try to get themselves that plant on to B. They already lost one numbers advantage to start off the round. Warriors don't play any further games. Just find that rotation over towards B for a round on the board.
Off the rip. Sun Devils now looking for that answer back again, but they've completely let Locke slip through the lines. They've completely let 3 players slip through the lines. Sprack's going to get overwhelmed. 3 players there. He's a little bit shocked,
Wow.
and caution to follow soon in foot. A big call from Westcliff proper, and they're just going to surge on forward. They just want to overwhelm the rest of them. Lucasi through the middle of the map works at Infectini, leaving Fishity last alive in a 1v3 or 1v4, and he's going to back up. Plays in the grass, the tall grass, too, and as soon as he pops up, he catches Lucasi looking the wrong way, but he was on ace in Desert Siege. Can we get an ace in Bocage from Fishity?
Ended up seeing Stoner's cross as well. He's going to try to end up challenging this. Does have a nade. He's going to cook it up. Oh, just a little bit on the outside of finding Stoners, but might have been able to find some damage. They're going to be able to clean up Stoners. Now hitting the route on the bottom side of tunnels. Are they going to be able to get here in time to be able to cut this rotation out of its way? And yes, they sure will. Westcliff, what a fantastic gut check call that was to send 3 players through River. Reading the tendencies of ASU's offense, nobody has been showing any presence down by River, and there was nobody there through that offensive round again, Colin, so they just sent 3 players without any sort of pushback at all. They just all end up on the offensive spawn, and ASU were just simply not expecting it. Saw some bright spots coming through from Fishity, maybe an opportunity for yet another clutch. Was not the case at all. Now just 2 rounds away are the Warriors from closing this out in 5.
Low play here. Lucasi leading the charge. Catches Fishity up the angle, but it's going to be Sprack on the cross to find it. And Infectini to double down all the way through that Riverside. Forcing the Warriors now to make a play. Beeson looking to work in a 1v1, but Sprack pumps the brakes. Complete 180 to take him down, leaving Stoners last alive in a 1v4. And this is a big moment for the Sun Devils. You didn't want to go down 5-2 in the map. And, you know, in a situation where you very well could see yourself on 3 now. This is going to be where the Sun Devils look to climb into an even game, but they need to take down Stoners before that, and you can see the players surging on forward. It's just a matter of time before they take him down. If not, 35 seconds to burn off the clock.
Stoners is just trying to see if he can find isolated 1v1s. Almost had a good luck to maybe find Infactini, who was just holding the flank rather than pushing for the immediate trade to end the round. 20 seconds remaining. This is a smart call coming out from the Sun Devils to play against the clock.
Just wait. Got the round in your bag. Stoners eventually is going to have to make a move with 15 seconds left. He's either run off the map or run into the guns, and it looks like he's going to run into the guns, keeping the ASU in this one. Only down by 1 now. They pull it back a little bit, Andy, and it's a big round, too. I mean, very patient out of them compared to past rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in a very aggressive offense as well coming out from the Warriors. They were certainly feeling themselves and going into that round, weren't they, Colin, where they just send all players just barreling towards that A plat. They get gunned along the way. Stoners took some sufficient damage in that 1v1 towards the player on the backside of the God tank, so they couldn't overwatch that entire play, and because of that, the ARs just light things up, found Sprack with some good timing, now on a 3, 8-5 overall. You can see this time around a lot of focus over towards this Riverwalk. Arizona State do not want to allow another 3-man flank to come through.
Locke patiently waiting inside the bell tower. Oh, but Fishity's going to catch up. He's got the sniper out. We were wondering if we were going to see the sniper in Fishity's hands, and here to play. Going toe-to-toe with Locke's sniper as well. Opens up for first blood. Bomb goes down. 3v4. You can see Warriors quick for the retake. Stoners leading with this MP40. All the way through the tunnel. See if he can get the stun off the bounce. Not going to be there. Slides on in. Infectini hiding behind the bomb. It's going to be 2 down for the Warriors. A 4v2. Lucasi makes it 3. Beaston evens us up. So doable. And we'll look at this Beaston. Hops it right away. Gonna look for the check. Fishity. Is he going to check it? Yes, he does with the sniper. And Arizona State clean up their round. We're back to even.
Back to even Stevens here. 2 rounds in a row for the Sun Devils out of Arizona State, trying to make their best attempt be known for closing out a map 5 after losing the Desert Sea Search and Destroy 6-3. That said, bringing out the Car 98K was a great gut check call coming through from the Sun Devils. You end up finding that first pick all the way through in the backside of the willow tree next to the tower, and that immediately calls for Effectini to plant the bomb. And I love the lack of reposition that came through Effectini. Plants the bomb and just sits on it, even going 1-for-1 right there, kept the numbers in favor for Arizona State.
Fishity still with the sniper. Fishing out long luck. Cuts it right down the middle. And he's going to catch Fishity this time. No first blood for the Sun Devils. Numbers advantage for the Warriors. And you can see that forces Contra. Go back to the A site. See if he can make any move. Beeson ready to pounce as soon as he gets the call.
Open the door, won't be able to find anything whatsoever. This is a very isolated defensive play when you are Arizona State. You can see where Sprack is on the map, just trying to guard over by Willow-Tree to watch any player cut them way back over towards B. But Contra, what a heat check that was. We'll take down Beeson. Grandma's control is there. Another 3v4 on the table for Arizona State now with numbers advantage.
I can't believe he slow checked that now. Stoners recovers the bomb, but still Contra turning up at the A site. Stoners last alive in a 1v3. 31 seconds to make a play, but the Sun Devils looking for 3 rounds in a row. You just need to take down Stoners. Gonna burst through the door. Sure, they heard that one, but Effectini's gonna get caught right from the top rope. Stoners on 1v2. 20 seconds left. I think he wants to rotate this one out. Contra over on that back heady, but now Sprack and Contra together in the situation. It seems near impossible if you are Stoners. You find Contra, you take the shots, but you're not taking him down. Arizona State, 3 rounds in a row. They're on match point.
Yeah, it's such a tough call when you are Stoners in that last position, right? You ended up having at least one player being red over by that one tank just outside of P2, but even still, you might have had the timing to be able to maybe rotate over towards B, but you had no immediate information where the other player was alive at. You had no idea where, I believe it was Sprack or Contra was located at. They saw Sprack over by that tank, but no information where the second player was located at. Tried to take the gunfight. Time was not on their side. 3 rounds in a row now for the Sun Devils. And they're playing this so respectfully, maybe a little bit too respectfully. Stoners will take down Effectini for first blood. Quick trades coming out from Fishity. Bomb should be collected here while the rest of ASU try to play for information on the defensive team.
Contra information on Lucasi. A little bit of heat checking. I think Lucasi caught that one. He gets out and dodge. Locke still playing patiently, Andy, over towards B. Hasn't yet moved from this aggressive position, but at the same time, doesn't seem like anybody from ASU looking to challenge him as Fishty with this bomb and sniper in hand waiting. Lucasi, oh, a hit marker. You wish you could get that one back.
Now you need some help over here if you are Fishty. That help is going to come through from Sprack. This is going to leave Contra to watch the entirety of the flank. But if you are Westcliff, in a 3v3, you 100% just play for the retake. Play for these unforced errors. 25 seconds remaining, and ASU need to make a play happen.
Bomb going down. Got some time. Locke gets the angle. No bomb play just yet. Lucasi now searching on forward. He's going to take down the second leading Sprack class alive. They spot him out. 1v1. Here comes Lucasi around the outside to clean things up. Andy, I mean, it's been a long series, but it's going to get longer. Round 11, game 5 on Bokosh.
Yeah, and this is going to continue to be quite telling to see how long these players certainly take. They find that first blood, they find information, but you don't want to just be rolling your way inside of Grandma's, not knowing what corners are going to be held by either of these two teams. It's going to be an offensive round for Westcliff here in round 11. Locke at 12-7, for heaven's sake. Behind them is the 8-8 Lucasi. On the other side, Sprack 10-6. They're going to go for immediate bar control. You got 2 players down south if you are ASU trying to deny this aggressive push.
Lucasi, 43 HP. Gonna wait. First on through. Wanted from Sprack, 8 HP. Looking to finesse his life. Here comes the trade. Here comes the help. Beeston looking for 1 before losing his life. Locke to double down. Fishity out of this. That looks like the bomb's going down, but here comes Sprack. He's flying at this one. He's not going to see the player up on the tank, and all of a sudden, Effectini last alive all the way at the B site. And he's got to go big here. 1v3 for the clutch. The Warriors are going to find this upset. And you look at the positioning of the post plant, everybody's set up to close this one out. It's only a matter of time. Effectini looking at slow approach here, finds Locke, slides on in. The second one's going to be there to clean it up. And the Westcliff Warriors, here in the last match of the day, they're upsetting the Sun Devils in Game 5.
And in 11 rounds as well, a lot closer for ASU comparatively to what it looked like in the Desert Siege, Search and Destroy. But too many rounds just were falling to the same customs of just overextending and not making sure that every single cross angle was going to be looked at for a lot of their offensive rounds. I'm almost shocked that Westcliff were able to get away with such an aggressive offense, given that you did end up having a player over by that cross inside of the gate. Did find some damage, but there was nobody in an immediate position to be able to clean up on that damage. More or less, you don't want to be throwing a player outside of Grandma's to be able to clean up that last kill, Colin. More or less, or even more so than that, I should say, is that Effectini, when all the communication was coming all the way through, they were still isolated themselves over by the BS&D site. Rather than taking a more forward position, even over towards those B steps, they just laid prone down over by the BS&D site, almost expecting for a long flank to come all the way through. I don't blame them, given how many flank plays we did end up seeing coming through from the Warriors, but that time around, especially in round 11, you have to play a little bit more tight-knit, if you will. They have to be able to collapse on that information that Warriors, there were a lot of players that ASU were spotting out from Westcliff in the middle of the map, did not collapse on those players, and because of that, had to put themselves in a 1v3 situation. No trades, no gains. Westcliff Warriors come through with the upset here versus the Sun Devils. Force down.
I mean, the upset indeed. Looking at the whole thing, too, it's 2, 3, and 5 that they make it happen. The search and destroy is looking good for the Westcliff Warriors. Last time on Desert Siege, it was Lucasi basically carrying the way with a 12-4 showing. This time, you look at the spread of activity out of this team. Lock 14-8, having a standout game. Lucasi right next to him, 9-8, and Stoners as well there, 7-8 for himself. I mean, I don't want to really put everything on Westcliff Warriors, Andy, because Arizona State, I mean, they were going through it as well, and they were at times running the map, something that we didn't see in Desert Siege, but they were doing a great job in Bokash to stay in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the answer back after, what was it, ASU, they won 3 in a row. That's a big shift to come all the way back from, to win the back 2, force out the round 11 off of that first round, but then being able to close out that offensive round off of a heat check offensive gusto push over towards that AS&D site. Definitely something that you do not see every single day. Typically, you'll see a lot of teams in round 11 play rather respectfully, play off of the set nades, try to put themselves in a position to be able to collect off of information. The Warriors just did not care. They lived up towards their mascot, and they just completely just ran it all the way down over by Grandma's and just found the positional advantage to be able to find those kills lickety-split. See the best of 5 series on your screen right now. It was an objective game modes for the Westcliff Warriors. They were able to close it out. 2-3-5 teams are absolutely something that you do not bat an eyelash at. It just comes down to their hard points for Westcliff Warriors. They clean those bad boys up, man, they are going to be a threat for a lot of teams come playoff time.
I mean, hey, it's the last week of regular season, Andy. I'm ready for games like this. I'm ready for everybody to bring everything out towards the end of the season and heading into playoffs. I mean, a lot of teams are looking better than ever. Westcliff to be one of them. We talked about the implications coming into this match. If Westcliff won, it might not upset too much for Arizona State University, but this is a big feel-good win in the Western Division for the Westcliff Warriors to now move into the playoffs with some confidence under their belt that they just beat a top 5 team.
Yeah, absolutely. That's that confidence that we were talking about at the beginning of the series. Again, it feels like I was speaking about this last year with how long this best of 5 series took. But even still, I mean, if you are Westcliff, that you can't ask for more confidence when it comes down to their Tier 2 matchups, right? You know, you lost to ICC in a map 5. You ended up losing to St. Edwards in a map 4. You did end up taking a map win off of the Ottawa Braves. These are all bright spots to be able to walk away. Great VOD to be able to study going in towards playoffs. Not only maybe as a top 10 team now, I'm sure that the top 25 power rankings committee is probably all crazy with how things might be playing out, with how good Westcliff did look in both 2, 3, and 5 here today, Colin. But even more so than that, Arizona State, I mean, you just have to be able to clean things up on the back end, more or less on the control. You're supposed to be a very strong respawn team. There were a lot of egregious chows that were coming through on that Kabuto control that let it fall by the wayside where it did not need to happen, specifically on their offense. They'll still have the second seed, I'm sure of it. They're only finishing 9-2 with their only losses versus Westcliff, who, with this series win, is in no position to threaten them to be able to take that second one. And with head-to-heads, both over St. Edwards and ICC, who are the only teams that were close enough to them as far as series records are concerned, will still end up holding that 9-2 going in towards playoffs with that second seed to boot coming out of the Western region. So not bad as far as the second split is concerned for ASU, but still a lot of things to clean up if you want to be a threat coming into playoffs.
Not bad indeed, but that's going to be it. You know, it's been a long last series here between ASU and Westcliff, and it's all going to be coming to this upset, folks. End of the stream here on Alpha, end of the stream for College COD, but tomorrow we're going to be here, the same place, same time, for the last day of regular play inside this season. You don't want to miss it. Like I said, same place, same time. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.